Alright, well, welcome back everybody. We talked about doing some pickled okra in a couple episodes back, and I think today is the day we are going to finally attempt to do that. Now, my okra is still producing, but it is just about done. So I've been saving up for the last couple of days some shorter pieces, say that size right there, that'll fit in little pickle jars just fine. Some of the bigger pieces will not fit, and we'll just have to cut those up. But we've decided to go ahead and try to pickle smoker now before the plants quit producing, and mainly because we have got enough put up in the freezer. We've got more than we've ever put up in our life, so we feel confident we got enough okra to last us till next year. So now it's time to play a little bit. Alright, so all I'm going to do is clean these off and cut the stem off on the end. I'm just trying to cut it flat, not all the way into the okra, because a lot of the recipes that I read said if you cut it where the hollow cavity shows, that's what allows all that sliminess in the jar. We definitely want to avoid that. So I'm going to get these cleaned up and in the bowl. We'll see you back in just a minute. Alright, so what we're doing here is we got our canner, and I've got it filled full of water to where it'll fill the jars completely up and be above them. And we're going to throw our rings and jars in there and boil them and sanitize them for about 10 minutes. And then toward the end, we'll sanitize the lids. I just don't tend to put them in as long because they just can't stand up to that much boiling water. But the whole purpose of this process is just sanitize everything. Then we'll take it back out and kind of start whipping all our ingredients together and stuff our jars. Alright, so in this pot, I'm making our brine, and I put 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1 cup of white vinegar, and a couple of cups of water. And it was about 2.5 tablespoons of a fine granulated salt. You can use pickling salt. And I went a little extra because we're going to sterilize 5 jars. Most recipes call for 4 jars, and we might get enough in 5 to do that. So we're going to boil this till it turns clear, then take it off. That lets us know that the salt and all is dissolved. Oh, and we also put 1 tablespoon of sugar in there as well. And I'll list these ingredients in the bottom. So like I said, we'll bring this to a boil, let it clear up. That way we know sugar and salt's dissolved, and we'll pull it off and put it in the jars. All right, as you can see, we've been in a rolling boil for about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna pull these jars out. Drain them and store them on a rack. Then I'll throw my lids in there for just a few minutes to sanitize them. All right, looks like our brine is to a nice boil. All the salt and sugar should be dissolved, but I'll let it go just a little bit longer. Then we'll go put it in our jars.
All right, so we are ready for the good parts, which is going to be packing our cans of okra. We have our brine boiling right now. We're getting it ready. So I'm going to get all these jars packed as full as I can. Well, some of them probably could go upside down too. I'll do that. We're really kind of behind on all this okra. We really should have already been doing this because this is all we got for the last 3 days, and I was hoping to get quite a few more cans in.
Well, that's what we get for getting greedy and filling the freezer up. So we got plenty to eat next year and fry up and saute, but a little short on canning.
Okay, I'm going to finish packing these jars, and then we'll be back in a few minutes when we're ready to put the brine in.
Alright, so I'll make sure I'll put in the description, and I might put it across the screen here, our ingredients right here. But we did a couple tablespoons of dill seed, a little bit of dill weed, which is a lot of extra dill than most recipes call for, but we love it. Some minced garlic, because we bought some garlic cloves and turns out they weren't any good. So we did a couple of tablespoons of garlic, which is quite a bit for no more jars than we have, but we love garlic. And then we bought some of these dried chili peppers. We're going to put one of those in each jar because we want a little spice to this as well. So I'm going to try to make sure I get this mixed up for 5 jars, so whenever we pour our brine in, it'll kind of mix everything up in there.
Now I'm going to put one of these dried chili peppers in each jar.
Alright, now that our broth is done boiling, I'm going to go ahead and pour that in and leave about 1 inch of headspace at the top. And then Tiffany's going to take a little utensil that we have that you kind of put down in there to get the air pockets and all out. And it'll help everything mix up as well.
You want to make sure all the air pockets are out of the bottom of the jars as well, between the okra.
Actually, I see some bubbles coming up right now using that.
So what I'm doing now is I'm just wiping these lids real clean, that way that we make sure that we get a good seal. Okay, now we're ready for these lids to go on. I'm drying them off just to make sure that we get a really good seal. And then I'm going to put my rings just finger tight. And we already have our water out there at a slow boil, so it's ready as soon as we get all this done.
Alright, y'all, excuse the fan noise. It is summertime and hot here in Florida. But as you can see, we got our water back to a rolling boil. So I'm going to stick these in and make sure the water covers them completely. And it looks like it's going to be about 1 inch above them, which is perfect. Don't have to worry about them evaporating. So every recipe I looked at said put the lid on. I am not going to put a weight on, being that this is a pressure canner. I'm just doing a water bath, no pressure. So I'll put the lid over the top, and we're going to boil these for exactly 10 minutes. And just want to let you know, every recipe I read said you don't start your 10-minute timer until you have a rolling boil, which we do right now. All right, it's been 10 minutes, so I went ahead and killed the fire. Oh no, looks like one fell over in that rolling boil. I think it should be okay. So we'll pull these out, let them cool off on the counter, and wait for those lids to pop in. And if the lid does not suck in after it starts cooling off, showing that it's got a good seal, we'll immediately stick that one in the refrigerator and eat it within 2 weeks, is what all the recipes show. Now, if you do get a good seal on the lid, everything I've read says these can keep quite a while on the shelf. All right, well, there it is, our first attempt at pickled okra. So there is a million different recipes out there online, we have noticed. So we're talking about maybe doing it next weekend and not doing apple cider vinegar and just doing, just doing white distilled vinegar. But there's a lot of recipes that call for apple cider, so she want to try it. I'm not convinced just yet. We'll see how it turns out. We're going to try some with just white vinegar next time until the garden quits producing okra. We love pickled okra. We probably should have done this sooner, but she loves to eat it. She's been begging for it, and our freezer over there is slap full of it. So we've got plenty to eat and saute, which is how we really enjoy and love it. So hopefully this turns out. Sadly, we can't eat none in front of you. Every recipe says, you know, let it marinate for 3 weeks basically, unless some of these lids don't seal. So we're gonna let them cool off, and if any of them don't pop down, we're gonna put it in the refrigerator, and it says eat it within 2 weeks. Otherwise, these are good to go on the shelf for quite a while. So that's kind of the plan. We'll let them marinate for 3 weeks, try them out. We're gonna put some dates on them, save the recipes, and try another recipe down the road.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So maybe by next year we'll have some sort of recipe we know, hey, this is exactly what we're gonna do. If not, we'll just experiment next year when we grow another garden. So, anything you want to say?
I'm just glad that we finally did it, because I was thinking we were not going to get an opportunity. I thought the garden was just going to dry out before we could get to, but we've been very, very busy.
Life's been busy. We found out we didn't have some of the special ingredients like dill seed. We keep dill weed, but we just didn't have dill seed. What the heck is that? So we had to order some of that and a few other things, specialized salt, etc. But we did get it done. Hopefully we'll get a few more batches in before the garden's completely done. That just depends on Mother Nature. So with that said, thank y'all so much for watching. You know, it's a different little video for the channel. We've been trying to do a little more cooking and things like this. We didn't get around to blackberries. I've been meaning to tell y'all that. We said that a few months ago.
Yeah.
We wound up having a really bad drought right before a tropical storm of all things, and it was enough of a drought that our blackberries just dried up. We was able to eat a few, but we wanted to make blackberry jam.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year, because we get them every single year, but they just dried up before we could go harvest enough to do jam. At least we got to do some canning, and we'll do more, you know, stuff like that on the channel as we kind of experiment and figure things out. So thank y'all for joining. We'll catch you on the next episode.